212. Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. I can see it. I can feel it. Time has come now to reveal it. I've been waiting for a long time. Gotta do it. And won't let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it.
All right. We are here. Welcome to Managing Midlife Tonight with yours truly, Dr. Patty. It is always good to be in the house again here at WLVS Radio. I love those call letters. www.listenvisionlive.com. I'm telling you, it has been a power-packed week on the news with everything that has been going on in our country. And I tell you, there are a lot of things, just that have been happening with the political environment and with our president. And, it is just chock full of information on things that are not only affecting middle-aged people, but affecting, people in general. So, this week, Angie is here in the studio with me tonight, and I guess I'll bring her on when we come back from the break. But let's talk a little bit about Ebola, because that has been a hot off the press topic for, the past couple of weeks with the death of Thomas Eric Duncan, who actually died. And he was a middle-aged man, 42 years old, and unfortunately he died from the Ebola virus. And as a result of that, it has sparked a nationwide wave of fear and crisis, in America. And if you didn't know, two of the nurses that were attended to Mr. Duncan were affected by the virus, and one of which was flown to the National Institute of Health here in Maryland. And the other nurse was flown to another location in Atlanta to be treated for the disease. But many Americans are asking, basic fundamental questions about the virus and, how they can get it, how it's contracted. A lot of the schools, or some of the schools in Texas and Ohio, were closed because of fear of students and staff and friends and relatives that might have been exposed to this virus on the recent flights. Persons who shared the recent flight with the young lady, the Dallas nurse. And so, as the CDC is looking to talk to the passengers of that flight, a lot of people have questions about this particular disease. And so the best thing, always to do in a situation like this is to get information, get informed, get the facts, not the fiction, get the facts. I remember when the outbreak of HIV and AIDS hit back in, I guess, in the 80s sometime, and people had all kinds of things that they came up with about the disease, how you caught the disease, how you got infected by the disease. And, they were saying all kinds of mean things about people's lifestyles without really being educated and informed about, what is the disease. So first of all, Ebola it's a serious disease, and even with this limited number of cases in the United States of America, you want to practice, good health measures. One of the things I read in one of the articles was that there is a rise or increase on the sale of hand sanitizer. And what I say to people is, listen, practice the healthy habits that we have been taught to practice. It's cold and flu season. Just because someone has a common everyday cold or flu doesn't mean that now, because Ebola may have, has similar symptoms to that they have Ebola. And so, the best measure is to do your best to practice, wash your hands often, use hand sanitizer often, practice those healthy habits. It's no different than when they talk to us about the pandemic of the swine flu and the flu, because it is flu and cold season, of practicing those same types of habits. So listen, first of all, the Center of Disease Control and the World Health Organization have put out some facts that you need to know about Ebola. Number one, a person infected with Ebola can't spread the disease until the symptoms appear. And the symptoms usually appear within a 21-day incubation period. And so that period is usually the time between when they've been exposed to the infection and when the person begins to experience the symptoms. The average incubation time is 8 to 10 days, and the most prevalent symptom that they talk about is having a high fever, higher than 101.5 degrees. And then there are other symptoms that are associated with it. And all this information is going to be on our website. Secondly, you can't get Ebola from shaking somebody's hand. It is spread through direct contact with blood, organs, and body fluids of a person who is showing symptoms of the virus. It is not spread through the air. It is not spread through water or food. So let's take that into consideration. Body fluids such as urine, saliva, vomit, sweat, semen, okay? So people, really, if you take preventive measures and do everything you can to practice healthy habits and good, hygiene, then you don't have to be tripping out about this particular disease, none other than any other that's out there. Third, there's no Ebola vaccine, but you can take steps to protect yourself against the virus. And as I said, you wash your hands often with soap and water. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Don't touch the blood or body fluids, such as the things I mentioned: urine, feces, saliva, vomit, sweat, semen, or people who are sick. We don't want to do that. You don't want to handle items that may have come in contact with a person's blood or body fluids. These are not new things. These are the things that you should be practicing as you're dealing with people in general. And don't touch the body of somebody who has obviously died of Ebola. And so, and there are other things that go on and on and on about the Ebola virus. But the most important thing that I want to leave you with tonight is to get informed, get educated on the facts and not the fiction. That's the most important thing. And the other thing that I do recommend is, if you're in that high risk age group, if it's cold and flu season that we're going into, consult with your physician about getting your flu shot and doing those types of things that you would preventive measures that you would normally have. I think one of the things that has happened over the past few weeks is that there's just been such a wave of fear. People are afraid, and when people are afraid, they do funny stuff. They go into a frenzy. And this is not about creating fear. I was listening this morning to Good Morning America, and listening to the debate going on and the discussions about Ebola and how this has, just come up, as with everything else that comes up and the news then takes and blows out of proportion. But the other thing that concerns me about this is that the elections are coming up in a couple of weeks. And the other thing that I want to say about that is, don't let now politicians take this situation and again use it to manipulate your thoughts about your voting and going to the polls. Again, you want to get information. You don't want to go to the polls because you're now driven there by fear and intimidation about a disease, about what people are doing, what people are not doing. You want to get educated and informed. That's the most important thing. Get educated, get informed. So I'm gonna close out this segment of current events, and when we come back tonight, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. Number one, genetically modified organisms, the GMO. You are what you eat, or do you know what you're eating? Maybe you don't. You don't know. We're going to be talking about that tonight, and we're also going to be talking about what has been in the news this week, which has been the Pope and his take on gay marriage and the gay lifestyle as it relates to the Catholic Church. And we'll be talking about that in our Love, Sex, and Relationship segment. And then we'll be talking about the GMO in our Healthy Midlife segment. And then maybe Miss Angela can come on and say a few words. So we'll be back in the break in a minute.
Change my answering machine now that I'm alone, 'cause right now it says that we can't come to the phone, and I know off the radio.
All right, so you're back on WLVS Radio here with yours truly, Dr. Patty, and you're tuned in to www.listenvisionlive.com. And so, tonight we're just talking about a number of things that are affecting our middle-aged folks and affecting people, really affecting people, in general. And one of the things that has come up in the news, and we're going to take you to a couple of clips, genetically modified organisms. First of all, what the heck is a GMO? So on your health and wellness update, there used to be a saying, you are what you eat. But, how can you know what you are if you don't even know what's in your food, what you're eating, what you're not eating? And so we're going to be talking a little bit about the top 10 foods that are genetically modified: corn, soy, cottonseed, papaya, rice, canola, potatoes, tomatoes, some dairy products, and peas. And, the reason that we're talking about this is I think recently, over the past week, there were some changes in the regulations as it related to actually the food labeling. And some states, I think the state of Oregon has a campaign now that is talking about that the consumer has a right to know what is in the food, or what are the ingredients of the foods that they are purchasing. And, for a lot of people and for a lot of reasons, we have a lot of different ailments these days, a lot of things people can and can't have, food allergies and things of that nature. And, the labeling on these cans are sometimes they're vague, or sometimes they have words on them that, you may or may not understand. And part of being middle-aged is to be able to practice healthy or healthier eating habits. As you get older, you get wiser. Our bodies, our metabolisms are processing food different. They're slowing down. And with the slowdown of our metabolism comes ailments, comes diabetes, high blood pressure, various things, high cholesterol. And so it is important for you to know how to read a food label. And I have to be honest with you, over the past couple of weeks, I've been reading the Daniel Plan, and I've really taken note to trying to eat better, trying to learn how to read labels as I go to the grocery store. What are the ingredients that they're putting in the food? And a lot of times, the things that they're saying, that it's organic, or that it's gluten-free, or that it's all natural, there are numerous times when there is no truth to that at all. And so, anybody who tries to eat healthy, that, number one, it's a lot more expensive. For example, I went to the grocery store and I was looking at a jar of peanut butter. We get Jif, Skippy, Peter Pan, but this was like a jar of almond peanut butter, and it was probably, I don't know now, I don't think it was 4 ounces. It may have been 2 ounces of almond peanut butter, and the 2 ounces was $5. And to me, that's a lot, when I probably spend for a 4 ounce or 5 ounce jar probably $4 or $5. And so, eating healthier is more expensive, but obviously there are ways in which you can do that. But I want you to take a look at the video clips that we have prepared to you tonight that talk about the GMO, and I think we have Rachel Madoff and Bill Mayer. I think they're talking about it and what it means. And what I wanted to do was to try to get it broken down into really layman's terms, consumer, in the mind of the consumer as you're going to the grocery store, some things that you can ponder about or you can think about. So let's cut to the video clip.
The corporations own this country. I mean, what? The truth.
Yes.
Look, you guys.
Yeah, okay, but we talked about.
You guys work for big corporations. You are corporations, so I take that to be the truth.
Okay,
Yeah, corporations don't.
Yeah, I mean,
saying.
it's a little different. I mean, the corporations we work for are a little different than Monsanto. Okay, we were talking last week about some of the stuff that is subsidized in America agriculturally, and it's all the stuff that goes into making the worst kinds of food. It's not beets and broccoli. It's
No,
only
and there
sugar
should be
and
no
salt.
subsidy. There should be no subsidies for any food.
Okay, but after the show, a lot of people said to me that's current. Why don't you talk about genetically modified foods? Okay, you're right. We should talk about genetically modified foods. And again, this is a conspiracy of both parties. Obama said in 2007 we would label genetically modified foods, which, by the way, Europe has this. China labels China, which puts
That
lead
bastion of freedom.
and puts lead in baby food, or some shit
But
like that.
at least you know it's there.
Okay, but we can't have that in America. You know why? Because in America, corporations run the show. Even though 9 out of 10 Americans would like foods to at least be labeled, at least we know they're Franken-foods.
Why?
Okay, they can't. Why? Because it says it would hurt sales.
No.
So shut up and eat your fucking mutant chili. That's why. Because
if it's useful to label food, so for instance, things like fair trade coffee, if you go to Kroger, which is, if not the biggest, one of the very biggest supermarket chains in America, they use a system where you can track your produce. You can use a QR scan on your smartphone, things like that.
God's sake, who's going to do that? Can we just put it on the label like everybody else in the world?
What I'm saying is that the market has, when consumers want that information, it's provided to them. Why? I don't care about genetically modified organisms.
No, that's the point.
Which have never been shown to hurt anybody.
But you have a public role here, which is to warn people. It's not a question just
What are you
consumers
warning them of?
Of whatever it is involved in what's in the food. If it's genetically modified.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
I'd like to know
modified.
Listen,
wait a second. Wait a second. But here are the facts.
Whether it is and what it is, they should inform
in Europe, only 5% of the food is genetically modified. Here, it's 70%. And
what is the definition of genetically modified?
well, here's something that didn't used to exist. They didn't used to take a gene out of a bacterium and put it in corn so that the corn grows its own insecticide.
Right.
That's right.
Now we do
Which,
that.
by the way, is good because then we use less insecticide.
Awesome. It's also delicious.
No, wait.
Hold on. No. There's a great argument for it. But if I want to make a decision about whether or not to ingest that genetically modified organism, I don't want it to be kept secret from me. If the argument against it from the industry, if the argument against it from the industry is that I will hysterically, as a consumer, make a decision if I see that label not to buy that corn. Well, the solution to that is not then to make it a secret thing that I'm ingesting it, but rather to convince me that it's safe.
And just to show that we are not partisan, the villain in this is Obama to me, because he first of all, he promised blatantly that he would look into this and do something, and he didn't. He also appointed, what is the guy's name? Michael Taylor. Used to be a VP at Monsanto, the seat of evil. To be the food czar, the FDA Deputy Commissioner of Foods. And of course, Monsanto's latest Franken-food got speedy approval because this guy is in charge of it. Because it's like putting Jerry Sandusky in charge of Chuck E. Cheese. Of course he's going to approve with speediness.
Should anything, if there is not a health risk, and there are not health risks
but there
associated...
may be a health
Wait. There may be. There are not known health risks that are associated with GMOs. Why shouldn't the labeling be voluntary? And then if you choose...
Voluntary?
Oh, yeah, I know. Voluntary in America? You've got to be nuts.
Right, let's trust the corporations to put people's health above profit, because that's what they would do.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what corporations normally do.
Monsanto was founded in 1901, and for many decades it was a producer of pesticides and industrial chemicals. So, for instance, they're best known for producing PCBs, which are polychlorinated biphenyls, which were for many decades used as industrial coolants. And it turns out that they were very toxic compounds. And Monsanto actually had evidence that they were dangerous as early as the 1930s and basically ignored this evidence. Monsanto was also a major manufacturer of Agent Orange, which was used as a defoliant in the Vietnam War. Agent Orange is laced with dioxin, which is an incredibly potent toxin, and it harmed both U.S. troops and also even more the Vietnamese population. So that's kind of the history of Monsanto. In the 1980s, they began buying up seed companies, seed firms. So a lot of the major, seed firms in the United States and in other countries are now owned by Monsanto, which is the largest seed company in the world. We feel that patents on seeds are wrong. The whole patent regime was never meant for seeds. It was meant for mechanical inventions. So this is a real problem, and it's really negatively impacted a lot of farmers.
All right, so you heard it right there, live and in person. I just think that we have a right to know what's in our food, and what are we eating. The genetically engineered and genetically modified foods. I mean, my nephew-in-law, he's my nephew now. I remember us talking to my niece after she had her baby about the different fruits and vegetables that she could eat. And when you're nursing, obviously you don't want to eat gassy foods. And corn came up in the topic. And the first thing he said was that, no, corn is not an option as a vegetable to eat because it has been genetically modified. It is not the corn that you think it is. And so, with that, it's something for you to think about. It is food for thought in terms of what you're eating, what's in your food, and what these companies are doing, what the USDA and the Food Administration are approving. And in a lot of states, it's not mandated to disclose certain information. And so, what you don't know is that these genetic modification means it's not natural. It's not the normal way of how nature has been set up to produce these things. And, things that are high in fructose and corn syrup and sugar, are all created from these genetically modified crops and things. And so, you really want to call into question, am I getting this? Is it really healthy? Is it not healthy? Is it all natural? Is it really organic, or is it not organic, but they've just slapped it on the label to make me think that it's organic? And these are things that, I think every American, as Rachel Maddox said, we have a right to know what we are eating. And I'll give you one more example before we go to break. One of the things that's on the list is soy. And, I remember when I had my children and I didn't want to use, the regular cow milk and all of the modifications that came with that. I went to a soy-based product thinking that was better for my child. And now to know today that, there you go. Soy is, after corn, is number 2 on the list. And to know that soy is genetically, modified. When you think of menopause, let's just talk about menopause and going, as you're here now, maybe you're middle age, you're in your 40s, and you're now preparing for menopause, and they say, drink soy-based products. It'll help you. It's a lot better. It eases the process. Well, now, you have to call that into question, because the soy-based product that I'm purchasing at the grocery store, is that really soy, or is it some off-brand of a splicing of a spider brain and something else that, or a roach turd that they've put in it to make it, to make the soy grow a certain way? And so, I want you to think about it. I want you to do your research. You can go to our website and actually our Facebook page, and there's more information on these articles about genetically modified organisms. So we're going to cut to break, and when we come back, boy, oh boy, let me just say this to you. And I'm gonna tag this at the end of the show, but we're gonna talk about the Pope and the Vatican and their meeting that they had this week, and his discussions on gay marriage. And we're also going to come back and be talking about Ralph Reed, who is the founder of the Faith, Freedom, and Freedom Coalition, who had an interesting speech this week, and how he drew a parallel between gay marriage and the Emancipation Proclamation, or the abolition of slavery. And so I thought that was an interesting way to throw it on the table and stimulate a conversation. I don't know how you draw the parallels between the two, but let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about it.
Can I get some nasty bass? It's gonna be kind of right tonight.